Revelation 2070. From the 14th of September 1941. Lightful or lightless and powerless state in the hereafter. The human being's departure from Earth is a process which is so significant because all physical forces fall away from him in order to be replaced by spiritual forces, or where this is not possible due to the soul's lack of maturity, it means a powerless state for the soul. The influx of spiritual strength as well as the loss of it is perceptible to the soul, for it feels, just as in earthly life, the lack and the abundance of what now flows towards it as agony or as happiness. It feels itself transferred into a state which is certainly free from all body heaviness, but its sensations determine the degree of well-being. After a short rest the soul will either be active or it will remain in an agonizing inactivity and not be able to free itself from it. The unredeemed soul lacks strength and the realization of this is unspeakably oppressive. It is as if tied up, it is in a position in which it does not feel well and cannot free itself from it. She has a desire for earthly things, and the desire remains unfulfilled. She is in a joyless gloomy region and would like to escape from it, but it holds her back as with chains to the place of her stay. Her whole state is discomfort because she is not deprived of the ability to feel, because she can only see with spiritual eyes, but these are still very weak, that she is unable to see anything, thus she is in a completely lightless region. And the powerless state is extremely agonizing for it, since it still knows about the state on earth and thus knows itself to have gone backwards. And now it depends on how the recognition of its situation affects its will, which it likewise still possesses unchanged. Her situation is so bleak that she is forced to think about it. She can now either apathetically let everything pass her by, although the state does not please her. The lack of strength can be so great that its will is also inactive, that it does not start anything to change the state. That is, that it also does not muster the will to change this state. Then it will always remain in the same situation until the soul can no longer endure torment and longs for other surroundings. But it can also remember in bitterness and hatred the one who has imposed this condition on the soul. It can quarrel with its fate and let all bad impulses break through in thought and will. Then she herself aggravates her condition, and it becomes ever more lightless and ever more bound. For now she is harassed by the forces of the underworld, which seek to win her over completely. On the other hand, however, beings of the kingdom of light, albeit veiled, also come towards her and try to persuade her to become active herself in order to change her dark state into a more light-filled one. And again the will is decisive, which urge the soul gives into. A longing thought upwards already brings it relief and can be the beginning of the path upwards. The will alone is decisive, and it will either bring deepened agonies or redemption for the soul and at the same time cause the supply of strength. The powerless being need only want strength to flow to it, then it will also be imparted to it. However, as long as the will is inactive and does not strive for it, no change in its situation will occur in a favorable sense. The supply of strength alone determines the soul's state of happiness in the beyond. A soul which immediately receives strength on entering the spiritual kingdom is a blissful creature. It cannot help but be active, for the supply of strength increases its urge to be active. It feels so happy that it does not want to and cannot carry the happiness alone, that it is in need of communication and would like to give its strength to the unhappy souls, because its feeling is full of deepest compassion for the still immature souls which have to starve. And it stands in the midst of light, and this also lets it recognize both the delights of bliss as well as the suffering of the unredeemed beings. It now wants to transmit light into the kingdom of darkness, it wants to help the souls in need, and now it begins its activity by seeking access to the unhappy souls and mentally trying to influence them to wrest themselves from their lethargy and to strive, that is, like it, to help those who are even deeper in spiritual night. If she succeeds in this, then she has kindled love in the immature souls, and then their work on themselves begins. The desire to help is the only possibility to improve their situation, and once the will has become active in this direction, there is only one ascent for the soul, for it receives strength to the same extent as it needs it to help other unhappy souls. Love is the only redeeming power. Without love there is no way out of the powerless state, but once love breaks through, the agonizing, lightless state will soon be overcome. The soul's surroundings will become increasingly brighter and clearer, the desire for light will increase, and accordingly the strength will flow to it, which triggers the state of bliss in the soul and is the impetus for the highest activity again. For redeeming activity in the beyond. Amen.